Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm custom built for injury.
And I am Shambo, First Blood, Part 2.
Welcome to episode 309, King of the Ring, 1998.
Off with their heads!
I know I was thinking about trying to do an accent. I was like, I'm just going to go for it.
Queen of Hearts here?
I mean, Sable, she's on the poster. She's a queen of some people's hearts. I'll still always be a Sunny man.
I will always be a Sunny man as well.
I think they both look nice.
I mean, yeah, no one's calling them ugly, that's for sure.
Definitely not. So this would be the 6th annual King of the Ring, produced by WWF. It took place on June 28th, 1998, from the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, or better known as the Igloo, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with an attendance of 17,087.
Pretty good numbers.
I mean, yeah. That's
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's like a Raw if they book the building, right? if they're in a big enough town at this point. And the buy rate was 385,000. It was on Wikipedia, so I wrote it down.
Yeah.
So we are in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we are.
So Shane, did you do what you do?
Well, I did something. It wasn't necessarily what I had intended to do, but we ended up with it.
Well, we'll be back in Pittsburgh at some point.
Oh, yeah. It's never far away from us, either Pittsburgh or Philly or somewhere in Pennsylvania. But yes, here we are back in Pittsburgh for the King of the Ring. And originally I had intended to do something with pierogies, but it did not work out in my favor after a few different stops at a few different stores. So I had to
Pivot.
Yeah, pivot. There we
You
go.
can save it for Heatwave 98.
Like, fast track, no, because it wasn't necessarily fast. But I came up with this idea because another little town we've actually talked about before, and I want to say I brought some sort of chocolatey goodness in reference to it. Hershey is from Pennsylvania. Obviously, there is a Hershey, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. So what I brought was thumbprint cookies, which are little shortbreads with Hershey's Kisses pressed into the top of them. These ones are a little different. I haven't got to try one yet, but I've heard that they are extra soft and not the typical crumbly, brittle things that are associated with thumbprint cookies.
Like I was saying, like anytime I hear thumbprint cookies, I think crunchy cookie with just a Hershey's Kiss.
Yeah, it's like your jaw's going to be doing a lot of work trying to get this thing down.
Ooh.
And if you don't get a piece of the Hershey Kiss with the cookie, it's the driest cookie.
These are pretty damn soft.
This, on the other hand, it's like super soft, flaky shortbread cookie with actually like cooking chocolate like melted into a thumbprint.
And the chocolate's actually soft.
Yeah. Take that bite, bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna
enjoy this.
I'm gonna take this bite on the microphone. But yeah, these are, what the hell brand are these?
It's just like
these
Homeland.
Homeland Grocery Store Treat Shop. Our specialty.
And the chocolate's almost like fudgy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a little thumbprint. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like somebody made the Toll House chocolate chip cookie without the chocolate chips in it, so you've got that soft chocolate chip cookie with this monstrous fudgy chocolate chip on top.
Matt tried one first, and he cursed out loud.
Yeah, I was like...
Because he wasn't ready for it to be good.
So good. And I was like, but I'm also hungry, so I was like...
No, it's good.
Is it just me? But both of these guys have now...
So a last minute, what the fuck am I going to bring? I'll just bring these. It worked out.
I mean,
awesome.
If I was ever in a grocery store and I was like, I need to grab like cookies because I'm going to like a party or whatever, I get together, I need to bring something. these are, if I saw these, I wouldn't, my brain wouldn't even register them. I would have like looked at something else because these don't look like much, but they are great. And now I know that they exist and they were perfect for that kind of situation.
Yeah,
I would have just grabbed like, you know,
looking through my list of shit, and whoopie pies jumped out first, but I couldn't find a whoopie pie to save my life. And then it showed me a Hershey's Kiss, and I remembered seeing these as I was walking through the bakery section, and boom.
There you go. Well,
I ain't mad about it.
Happy accident.
Happy accident. Definitely a winner.
Hopefully these pierogies can live up to it if I ever get to bring them.
Chocolate-filled pierogi.
Well, something that would happen right around the same time as King of the Ring, a pair of films would come out the same weekend. Dr. Dolittle and Out of Sight.
I mean, this at this point, I'm 10, and like in the summers, I guess a lot of, like anytime we were off on a break from school, I have a sister and a couple of cousins that are the same age as her, so like 2 years younger, and then another cousin that's a little bit older than me, and my grandma would always take us to the mall and a movie, and that is how I saw Dr. Dolittle.
And this is the Eddie Murphy version.
Yeah. The one where he plays like every character. They do the table gimmick, Hercules.
Nope, that's Nutty Professor.
That's
Nutty Professor.
Yeah.
So
This
does
is
he
where he
do
talks to
different
animals.
But he doesn't play different characters in this one?
I don't think so.
He may do
Really?
voices of some of the animals, possibly, but I want to say it's just one character.
I guess
in
the
this one.
comedy of him playing different characters is more memorable than Doctor. But I definitely saw this.
This one was popular enough to where it had a sequel or two.
It had a hit song too.
He was in the second one. I don't
Was
think
he?
he was in
Okay.
the third one.
Isn't the Aaliyah song from in this movie?
Which one?
The Dust Yourself Off and Try Again one? I might be getting movies just completely. Yeah, my late '90s
Little soundtrack.
Eddie Murphy movies mixed up.
I see Montel Jordan.
Aaliyah, Are You That Somebody?
Yep.
Love that song, but I hate the stupid baby sound in the middle of it.
I just read that Eddie Murphy is actually terrified of live animals, so he was actually superimposed digitally most of the time if they could. But if he couldn't avoid acting in the same room as an animal, the shots frequently ended with Murphy screaming.
Just afraid, just any. I guess. I mean, I could imagine. I can believe being afraid of like a lion, a tiger, an alligator, but like.
No bears?
I mean, yeah, yes, bears. Yes, bears. But a dog that's trained to be in movies is not a thing to be scared of.
Correct.
All those other things you can't really train. So.
You can say you trained them.
Yeah, but they can snap at any moment.
Jody
You can, just look at any story involving a lady that owned a monkey. They all get their faces ripped off.
Yeah, so I want to say I watched this one maybe one time.
The third Dr. Dolittle, actually, they
daughter.
take his daughter, yeah.
And then it
So what
looks like
movie did
there's
I get it
one-
confused
Oh, the fourth one, too. I
Nutty
guess.
Professor.
Nutty Professor.
Yeah, I'm showing this one, part 2, part 3.
I didn't realize.
Dr. Dolittle, Tale to the Chief.
Oh my god.
Dr. Dolittle, $1 Million Mutts.
We're getting into like straight to video releases.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Kyla Pratt needed a job, guys.
I mean, good for her. Hope she got paid.
Like the first one, Eddie Murphy,
I mean, I
Oliver
probably watched the
Platt,
third one before I watched the Robert Downey Jr. version of Dolittle
Peter
again.
Boyle. Oh, I forgot he did a
Yeah, nobody saw it, but
Telling.
it sounds like Matt did.
That's not good.
Raven Simone.
Technically,
Paul
just go watch the
Giamatti,
original Rex Harrison one, because Rex Harrison is awesome.
Pruitt Taylor Vince.
Because there was no superimposing anything in that movie
Yeah.
in 1967.
But I saw like basically any family or kids movie from this time period up until the next couple of years because of going to my grandma taking everybody to the mall and then the movie theater.
Damn, this one, just the voice cast. Norm Macdonald, Albert Brooks, Chris Rock, John Leguizamo, Julie Kavner, Gary Shandling, Ellen DeGeneres, Brian Doyle Murray, Jenna Elfman, Gilbert Godfrey,
Wow.
Paul Rubens, Jonathan Lipnicki. Wicked.
Did he talk about a human head?
That I don't remember. He didn't when he came into my restaurant either.
Jonathan Lipnicki was the kid from Jerry Maguire.
Yep.
A movie I haven't seen.
Okay. But you've never heard the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That's
Bees and dogs can smell fear.
Yeah. I do remember the jokes about him and stuff, but I mean,
we're having to teach our younger co-host things about life.
It's one of those things where it's like those were like adult movies. So when I got older and then got into movies, I typically didn't go to Jerry Maguire before I went to what's a good example? An older adult movie. Terms of Endearment.
That's a little too old.
No, that's like from the 80s.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire is from '96.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like when I got into into movies as an adult, like Jerry Maguire wasn't at the top of the like adult movie list, even though it was a huge movie.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a movie that you like were like, I have to go back and watch this.
Yeah.
Guess what?
I need to.
You should go back.
I know.
And
I
watch
will. It's one of those things where I will.
Actually,
get there.
just rewatched Jerry Maguire a few weeks ago. It's still very, very good.
Yep.
I
enjoy it. I mean,
it doesn't complete me, but
But
minus the human head joke.
my money.
Yeah, I get all the jokes because I probably watched the Oscars here because I didn't have a job or a car.
You will never know the true meaning of the Quan until you watch Jerry Maguire.
I'll get on it.
The Quan. Or, shoplifting the pootie.
literally, that like when I watched the movie, I was just like, "There's show me the money. You got human head weighs 8 pounds. You complete me.
You had me at hello.
You had me at hello." And I was like, "How did shoplifting the pootie not get the love it deserves?"
I mean,
who's coming with me?
I mean, because it's obviously comedic. I mean, I guess
I'm not gonna do what everybody thinks I'm gonna do.
I'm not gonna
Flip out.
I mean, that's Dumb and Dumber. I know that one.
Nope. That's Jerry Maguire, and then it was made fun of in Half Baked.
Oh, you're
Not
right.
Dumb and Dumber.
I didn't realize that I was making fun of it. Dumb and Dumber. It's the what's the fucking joke I'm thinking of? There's so many.
We landed on the moon.
No, just when I think you couldn't
Be any dumber?
yeah, it's like you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself. That's what I was thinking of. But the Half Baked. I didn't realize that was a Jerry Maguire reference.
Yes.
I've just seen Half Baked a million times.
Yeah. What are the other movies?
Out of Sight.
Out of Sight.
George Clooney, J-Lo, Steven Soderbergh directed.
I didn't even know this existed until right now, and then you said it's based on an Elmore Leonard novel. It's like, this is up my alley completely.
It's completely up your alley.
Yeah.
It's definitely J-Lo's best movie. It's in Clooney's top 3.
Oh, wow. I mean, just a crime movie with a hot, like a gritty crime movie, and then you put hot people in it. I'm in.
Nominated for 2 Oscars, Best Writing or Best Screenplay based on previously produced or published material, and Best Film Editing.
And
you need another reason to watch it? Michael Keaton reprises his Jackie Brown role, Ray Nicolette, in the movie.
wow, that's fun.
Because he was
Also,
both Jackie Brown and
listen to this.
Outsider, both
This like
Elmore Leonard.
Ving Rhames, Don Cheadle, Dennis Farina, Nancy Allen, I love her. Steve Zahn, Catherine Keener, I love her. Albert Brooks, we love him.
Yeah, Catherine Keener's in something. I know I'm going to love it. Viola Davis, same thing.
Oh, she's in this too?
Yep. Luis Guzman.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Isaiah Washington.
Don Cheadle.
Not so
Did we say
much.
Don Cheadle?
Yeah. That's but yeah, I'll have to give this one a go. This isn't better than Michael Clayton, is it?
I mean,
you can't really probably compare them. They're two different things.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, you said top 3 Clooney, and I'm like, well, Michael Clayton's
Clayton's
up there.
in Clooney's top 3 as well. So it's been a while since I've seen
Then
Clayton.
what's the third in Clooney's top 3? If this one and Clayton are in it, what's number 3? I'm curious.
I'm a big fan of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that's funny. It's definitely a different movie.
But if you want to go...
Are you going all the way back to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
No, I was going to say Up in the Air is also a great one.
I mean, he has a pretty great track record. I mean, there's a lot of good films in there.
There's a lot of
plenty
good
of
films, but I'm not going to say that he has like great ones like throughout his.
He's not Daniel Day-Lewis, where he works a lot more than some guys that are more picky.
I also love Gravity.
Yep.
But Gravity is one of those movies that like it loses something not in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, Oh Brother.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh brother.
I mean, Fantastic Mr. Fox as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the voice, but they actually did act out every one of those scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ocean's 11 was my favorite of the Oceans.
I mean,
We haven't mentioned Syriana. That was what he won the Oscar for.
see, I didn't like Syriana, but
I've never
that's
watched
just
Syriana.
me.
It just seemed like it was going to be way too serious, and yeah, it was too much.
I mean, Three Kings is probably the first time that he kind of broke out of, like, I think he had the Batman stink on him,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
and Three Kings helped him get out of that.
Well, when did... I guess, yeah, that's right before. That's a couple years before.
Yeah, Batman and Robin came out the year before Out of Sight. Because Peacemaker and Out of Sight were both of them are good movies, but they didn't break out. Like, they were both good rental type movies.
Yeah,
They didn't do any in the theater.
They weren't screaming to get people into theaters and stuff.
No.
I guess he technically won an Oscar for Argo because he was one of the producers of that.
Maybe the most, like...
Because this movie didn't even double its money.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess that's probably why I haven't heard.
Yeah, this one was more... It found its popularity on video.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, look at it this way. Soderbergh works with him, and then is like, you know what? You're so great. Let's do Ocean's 11, and then they make a fucking buku amounts of bucks.
Yep.
I was a fan of his from all the way back on Facts of Life, where he played George.
And then, of course, he was on ER, which I think that's probably what his best role probably is.
That's what got him to where he is now. You know, if he wasn't on ER, I don't believe he would have had the trajectory that he ended up with.
Yeah, but he's just so handsome and charming. He would have got into movies.
His movie choices over the last 10 years have not been good.
No. He's won his Oscars, and now he's just...
I mean, his last movie that just came out, the Wolves, that was on an Apple release. That's probably his best movie he's had in the last 10 years, and it's not great.
Yeah, I haven't even heard of it. Oh wait, is it him and Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have heard of it.
Like, it literally got such bad reviews that they already had a sequel planned, and it got canceled.
It's pretty crazy for a movie.
In the Flash movie.
Yeah, he's Bruce Wayne at the very end.
Right.
It's crazy.
Spoilers for a movie that no one gives a shit about.
Yeah, crazy that him and Brad Pitt could be in a movie and they just put it to Apple TV, not in a theater, and everyone's like, "That stunk." It shouldn't.
It was by like,
I mean, it had to have been.
Like the them interacting was the best part of the movie.
I mean, they have a wonderful chemistry.
Yes, but like everything else that was happening in the movie was just like,
Boo-boo.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Made no sense.
Well,
check out Out of Sight, Dr. Dolittle if you're into a kid-friendly comedy.
yeah.
Like,
If you think you like Eddie Murphy, but you're not sure, just watch Beverly Hills Cop.
48 hours.
Even The Golden Child. And then what's the one that...
Coming to America.
Coming to America.
It's like Vampires in Brooklyn?
No. You just get...
Or Vampire in Brooklyn.
What's the one he directed?
Just go back and watch some old SNLs.
Yeah. What's the one he directed? Is it Harlem Nights?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Not too great. It's fun because...
It's big for its time.
Yeah. It's not as good as the movies we just named.
Go listen to his album.
I mean, that one song is so good.
Oh, yeah.
Party all the time. The music video, you can just imagine the amount of cocaine that's just like off screen.
Yeah. All the time.
Let's talk some King of the Ring. We get the WWF Attitude Package before red skies fill the screen, and a narrator begins talking. Premonition, prophecy, 316, revelation. As we see highlights of Kane and Stone Cold Steve Austin, with Vince McMahon interjecting that the match will be a first blood, and the Big Red Machine even speaks using an electrolarynx device, saying he will set himself on fire if he loses.
Now, quick question. Not trying to get us completely off track here, but South Park just recently came out. Who did it first? Kane with the larynx device, or like Jimbo's friend from South Park, who also uses the larynx device.
I'm trying to remember.
I mean, we don't know. Is it a chicken or the egg situation?
I mean, it's 98 here, and South Park started in like 96.
It's like I think it's basically
so
like
I want to say
6 months
they're
before.
coming right for us. They took our job, or whatever it was before this.
I was just a thought I had because the amount of South Park signs you see on the wrestling shows at this point. So I was like, oh yeah.
The narrator continues, Black Angel, Mankind, Hell on Earth. Dear God, have mercy on their souls. As we see footage of Undertaker and Foley's wars from the last few years. Super Soaker presents King of the Ring.
I love the CGI guillotine.
Jim Ross welcomes us to the show, joined by Jerry the King Lawler and a couple of gas cans.
Yeah.
Because Kane said
he's going to set himself on fire. But
they have to remind us.
Yeah.
By having gas cans.
Yeah. That's not a line from Jerry Maguire. I'd set myself on fire for you.
Not that I remember.
Okay.
It probably would have worked.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. No.
Yeah.
But we go straight to our first match. The Headbangers of Mosh and Thrasher and Taka Michinoku.
He's really making the rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Versus Kaientai of Dick Togo, Min's Teioh, and Sho Funaki with Yamaguchi-san. And the last time we saw the Headbangers was at Raw, March 30th, 1998, episode 297. And Taka has a skirt on to fit in with his teammates in this bonus match.
It's a kilt, Matt.
That was just added to the show.
No, it's a skirt.
It's a skirt.
It's even on their shirts.
That is not a kilt.
I don't know. I just assumed it was a kilt because they're like plaid or whatever.
That was part of the
Manson of it all.
Well, no, the Headbangers gear, like their T-shirts even said "Real men wear skirts" or something like that on it. Okay. So yeah,
I just thought it was I always assumed they were kilts.
I'm not Irish, bro.
Yeah.
One of them is like plaid, and the other one is like fishnet see-through, so you can see his shorts that he's wearing underneath.
So Thrasher and Teioh start us off with the Headbanger being drop-kicked, only to respond with a tilt-a-whirl sidewalk slam. And Thrasher goes for a body slam, but Mims wiggles free and tries for an Okada roll, only for the Headbanger to block and power slam his opponent down for a 2 count.
I mean, I was kind of taken aback when we actually get a Taka chant, because I'm like, they've been putting him on shows. He does fun stuff, but it's just one of those things where it's like it's a hot crowd that likes wrestling, but this is the one guy out of everybody that's in this match that they're trying to push or get a reaction out of, and they're getting it. But who's the king of getting the reaction that they want when it comes to wrestling? It's the WWF.
Yep.
They're doing it today. They're still doing it today.
They've put him with people to try and build him up. First they put him with the Redneck with Bradshaw. Now they've got him with the Headbangers so that they can try and get some of the younger emo crowd or whatever.
He's also a man alone.
Yes.
It's more of like a goth Manson thing. I don't even know if Marilyn Manson goth. It's like
at the time, yeah.
It's like not metal, but it is hard. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's not what we're here for.
Thrasher tags in his fellow Headbanger, who heads up top, while Teioh is whipped to the ropes, returning to a missile dropkick from Mosh. And Mims is able to make it to his corner, bringing in Sho, who ducks several clotheslines and goes for a hurricanrana, but Mosh drops him with a powerbomb. Corner splash, running straddle by the Headbanger, followed by Michinoku getting in on the fun with a running straddle as well, before chops, a running knee, and a missile dropkick sends Funaki to the floor. And Mosh holds Sho for Taka to fly off the top with a springboard plancha, followed by tossing him into the ring, where Dick has attacked Michinoku from behind, allowing Funaki to make a tag. Kaientai then teams up for a double back elbow and a double elbow drop, before Taka answers back with a monkey flip, only to charge at Togo, who back body drops Michinoku to the floor. Dick then goes for a baseball slide, but Taka blocks, so Togo counters into a head scissors before throwing his opponent back into the ring. Teioh is tagged back in for a Yakuza kick, followed by a hot shot from the apron by Sho, before Mims nails a DDT. Funaki with a running knee and flips off the Headbangers before running back to his corner to bring in Dick, who teams up with Teioh for a double-team wheelbarrow bulldog.
I mean, this is a kind of what you want out of a first match on a pay-per-view. It's a fun spectacle. Everybody's doing stuff, and they're doing it well.
Togo goes for a suplex, only for Michinoku to block, so Dick runs and leaps off the corner with a flying headbutt. Menz then comes in to hold Taka while Sho runs the ropes for a forearm. Michinoku ducks, sending Teioh crashing out to the floor. Taka delivers a spinning heel kick to Funaki, followed by making the crawl to his corner for the hot tag to both Headbangers, who clear the ring with strikes and a back body drop when the ref forces Mosh back to his corner. And everyone's out of the ring except for Sho, who body slams Thrasher down and heads up top, only for the Headbanger to move in time. Thrasher then slams down Sho before calling in his partners as the Headbangers flapjack Taka on top of Funaki, followed by a Michinoku driver for the pin and the win.
That Michinoku driver is always so picture perfect.
Yep, it's just
effortless,
satisfying looking move. You're like, yep, that'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, like with most driver moves or suplex moves or something, and there's a little bit of setup or whatever for it as they're picking the guy up, but he just grabs them and it's just one quick, just
fluid motion.
Yeah,
it feels like he could pull it off at any moment, even though it's like a power move.
I mean, there's a reason 27 years later, some people still call it a Michinoku driver.
Yeah.
As they should.
But yeah, we got a hot crowd, and that's half the battle sometimes.
JR and the King discuss our next match, with Lawler saying that Too Much may be taking their match too lightly and shouldn't expect any help from him. Sable then makes her way to the ring. Ross says that we should thank Vince for her return. I guess he had rehired her to be his secretary?
Sounds right.
Secretary.
Yeah. Of course we get Sable chant. I mean,
She takes the mic to introduce McMahon, who then makes his way to the ring with his stooges, and Sable's dismissed and led to the ropes, only for Pat Patterson to smack her ass. So she turns and slaps his ass.
I do love the, just genius and simple. It's, so obvious. It's all right, Sable. No one's going to boo Sable. I bring Sable back. I make her do my bidding. I send her to the ring first. Everyone's, chanting Sable, Sable, Sable. All she does is get on the microphone and bring me out, which I'm already, he probably would have got just as big a boos either way, but the intensity of the boo has got to be at least 10% more, and we're in a battle with the other cable channel. So, all those tiny smart decisions really go a long way.
So she leaves to the back, Pat yelling at her, while Gerald Briscoe takes the mic to say that everyone should be cheering for Vince, as he's been the one to bring you wrestling for the past 10 years. And McMahon finally takes the mic to wonder how many have come because they want to see the WWF Championship change hands tonight, which just elicits boos completely.
Of course.
Chalk one up for the good guys.
Everybody wants to see Kane have a match. They don't want to see him win that belt.
He then asks if they showed up to see Austin be defeated, which brings cheers.
Woo!
But that's just because they said Stone Cold's name.
Yeah, Vince is, talks the main event, but, they just hear Austin and cheer.
Yeah.
They knew not what they did not mean what they said.
It was a simple time back then.
Vince continues that if Kane is not successful, how many came to see him set himself on fire? Yeah. More cheers. So McMahon tells the crowd that they're just setting themselves up for disappointment. But their entire lives have been disappointments. Vincent says that he's there to prepare them for the disappointment of Austin losing the belt, warning them of the inevitable. And they leave to the back as we see replays.
You suck. At this point, Vince can do no wrong on that microphone. He is just spitting gold, and he is the master puppeteer of everybody in the crowd.
Yep.
And they've all got strings.
So we go to our second match. Double J, Jeff Jarrett, with Tennessee Lee versus Ken Shamrock in a King of the Ring semifinal match.
Fans are still behind Shamrock, as they should be.
So Double J had defeated Farouk and Mark Marrow to advance, while Shamrock had bested Kama Mustafa and Mark Henry.
Shamrock took out the nation, huh?
Yeah, but he had it a little easier as far as experience goes.
True.
So Jarrett attacks as Ken makes it to the ring, only to be taken down by a back elbow and a running knee lift. And Shamrock continues with a clothesline and a snap suplex for a 2 count, followed by Double J ducking a kick to hit a swinging neckbreaker and a short arm clothesline. Jarrett with a drop kick, but after a reversed whip, Ken nails a roundhouse kick and a clothesline that sends Double J to the floor. And Shamrock keeps up the attack with strikes, dropping Jarrett on the guardrail and throwing him into the steel steps, before returning to the ring, where Double J reverses a whip to send Ken to the ropes, where Lee grabs a boot to trip him up.
Son of a bitch.
Shamrock turns his attention, allowing Jarrett to chop block from behind, and he begins to work the hurt ankle that Ken just returned from.
Ain't he great?
Double J has the leg wrapped around the ropes and won't let it go at the 5 count, so the ref pulls Jarrett off by the hair.
Whoa.
But this just gives Tennessee the opportunity to wrap it around the ring post. Double J walks into a back elbow and a spinning heel kick, followed by a pair of leg lariats and a power slam for a near fall. Shamrock then delivers a hurricanrana before locking on an ankle lock for the submission and the win.
The Rana into the ankle pick, and Jarrett, he just gives up immediately.
Yep.
Post-match, Lee runs in, only to be dropped by a belly-to-belly suplex as well. Michael Cole then catches up with Ken as he exits the ring. 1 down, 1 to go, he says, with Shamrock responding, he's got one more peak to climb, and he didn't come here to be second best.
And he won't be.
JR then shows us some footage from outside of the arena, where we see the show is sold out, but that a giant Undertaker statue inflatable thing stands. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, is it like the TX thing, or like the... Is it of actual Undertaker?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to remember what it looked like.
I'm pretty sure it was just like an inflatable type thing, but it was big. No rhyme or reason for why it's there, other than promotion.
I mean, he's the Undertaker. He's always a top guy.
So we go to our third match. The Rock, with the Nation of Domination of the Godfather and Mark Henry, versus Dan the Beast Severn in a King of the Ring semifinal match. The Rock won against Vader and Triple H to advance, while Severn destroyed D'Lo Brown and Owen Hart. And as the Nation makes it to ringside, officials stop them and send the non-participants to the back.
Rocky sucks. Rocky sucks.
We then also get footage of Dan tearing D'Lo's pectoral muscles with a submission move from a Raw.
It was a nasty little bow and arrow type of deal.
Yeah. And Severn immediately takes down Rocky once we return to the ring, but they're in the ropes, which just continues to happen. So the Rock's forced to grab him several times. A cheap shot by Rocky allows him to take control with strikes and turnbuckle smashes, only to then miss a charge into a corner. So the Beast takes advantage with a fireman's carry and works the arm.
I love his fireman's carry because, yeah, one guy, everything he does looks like wrestling, quote-unquote professional wrestling, and everything Dan Severn does looks like a goddamn fight.
Does it look like professional wrestling or sports entertainment?
Sports entertainment.
So another cheap shot puts The Rock back in control and nails a clothesline. He does some mocking and a snap suplex for a 2 count. The two then begin trading strikes until they bump heads for a double KO when the Nation runs back out, distracting the ref, allowing D'Lo to come flying in with a lowdown with his trademark chest protector on, allowing Rocky to crawl over to make the cover for the pin and the win.
Does D'Lo have the best splash that's not Eddie?
I think so.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, it's like, well, does Kairi Sane have the best elbow that's not Macho?
Yes.
And even Macho loses the elbow later in his career, but,
Yeah.
he also...
you do it that many times over 15 years, those hips and knees.
He's also a lot harder on his body than a tiny female wrestler.
But it was also kind of cool because I never knew how D'Lo got the chest protector or why he was even wearing the chest protector.
Yeah.
So to kind of put it 2 and 2 together here with this match was interesting.
Yeah, I had the same thought because we've seen D'Lo for a little bit now, but I kind of forgot about the chest protector.
Yeah,
I'm like, that was a signature thing of
the
this.
full D'Lo now with the chest protector, the
head wiggle
sway thing,
Still
and
don't know how he does
the
that.
lowdown.
Michael Cole then meets up with The Rock in the aisleway. And Rocky says Shamrock talks about climbing mountains, but he's not hearing it, as Ken will have to go through this man and a half before you reach any peak or valley. I'm going to make sure you hit rock bottom, followed by an eyebrow. JR then sends it to a video package about Al Snow, where we get narration saying he returned over a month ago, seemingly as a big Stone Cold fan, while we see security removing him from announce tables. Al would try to get help from Lawler, who told him to try and be inconspicuous, only to dress up in different get-ups that just brought attention instead.
He's, being a little disruptor.
Snow would then turn to a life of crime, stealing the king's crown, only for this one act to have finally gotten him the meeting he desired with Mr. McMahon, if he can win his match tonight. But if he loses, he's gone forever.
He just got here. He's over for doing nothing.
He just gave up a world championship in ECW to come back here.
I mean, also saying doing nothing. It's like, well, I mean, we haven't seen him work a lot of stuff in ring, but he's working hard as hell with this character work.
So we get our fourth match. Too Much of Too Sexy Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor versus Al Snow and Head.
I mean, this is, we keep saying it's like, well, feels more and more like the Attitude Era. Al Snow's tag partner being Head.
Yeah.
It's like we're really getting closer and closer to the Crash TV element of, we're getting closer and closer to full Russo.
So last time we saw Too Much was at WrestleMania 14, episode 296. And we cut to the back to see Al yelling at Head to quit putting pressure on him, when Lawler tells Snow he doesn't want to see any headlocks, head scissors, or headbutts.
Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle.
Al responds that the Head doesn't lay down for anybody. So everybody get ready to get a little head like never before. After Snow makes his way to the ring, Fink says a special guest referee has been assigned to the match. Jerry the King Lawler, who puts on a ref shirt as he makes his way to the ring from the announce table.
I mean, his not-so-son is in the match. Got to protect him.
Al starts it off by taking Scott down, but retreats to his corner as Head is yelling something at him, allowing Taylor to take advantage to attack from behind. And after a reversed whip, Snow goes for a back body drop, only for Scott to flip through and do some dancing. But Al just answers with an atomic drop and multiple clotheslines, sending Taylor to tag in as partner.
Can't be hot dogging like that.
Well, I mean, it's Scott Taylor, so he's too hot dogging.
Yeah.
Brian's taken to a corner only to complain about a hair pull, so the King backs him away. Christopher then does a hair pull to take Snow to a corner, where he ducks a right hand and looks to deliver one of his own, when Lawler stops him, allowing Too Sexy to nail a roundhouse right to take down his opponent. Christopher then heads up top, only for Al to press slam him off, before going up himself, but Taylor takes his feet out, causing Snow to crotch himself. Brian then climbs for a superplex, only for Al to counter it into a sunset flip bomb, making a cover, But the king makes sure those shoulders are completely down for a slow 2 count.
He's very carefully checking the shoulders. I got a bit of a kick out of it.
Snow begins complaining, so Christopher is able to recover. But he just gets clotheslined out to the floor, followed by Scott being tossed out as well by Al. And the fight continues on the floor with a body slam and a running clothesline all the way from the entrance to ringside to Too Sexy, when Taylor would springboard out with a clothesline onto Snow, which Al had already moved too far away when he leaped.
Yeah.
So it was a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Yeah, luckily the camera was behind Al, so you didn't notice as badly, but that's kind of my initial thought when I saw the jump happen, was he's not going to even make it.
He's a little too big to make
He may
that
have
big of a far of a leap.
touched his, stomach or something, but
Too Much rolls Snow back, where Christopher delivers a missile dropkick before teaming up for a double team atomic drop with his partner that gets a near fall. Taylor with a pump handle suplex and more dancing, followed by Snow sliding under Scott and picking him up for a wheelbarrow suplex. Al goes for the tag, but Brian runs in to block, taking Snow down with a running bulldog and begins to taunt the crowd, before going for a double team back body drop, only for Al to counter it with a double DDT, allowing him to make the crawl for the head tag. Snow grabs the legal man, using head to clock everyone, followed by a snowplow on Too Sexy. Makes a cover, but the king just starts looking around, even leaving the ring.
Son of a bitch.
Al picks head back up to give some to Taylor, before smashing him over the head and another snowplow on Scott, while Lawler tosses something to Brian, who grabs head and makes a cover, with the king making the count for the pin and the win.
I couldn't join you there, guys. I just, going through this match, I forgot where we end. And the joke is so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let Matt explain it to you.
Post-match, Al thinks he won, but Too Sexy shows everyone that he stuck a container of Head and Shoulders into the opening of Head. So the shoulders were down on the mat.
Yep.
And it's also funny because he's like trying to jam the like empty shampoo bottle in the neck of the rubber head for so long that he just like kind of just like holds it there and is like, fuck it, I'm just going to cover this thing. Very dumb, but this is the shit that people tend to forget when we talk about how great the Attitude Era was, where it's like, there's a lot of great stuff, but there's also stuff like this where it's like, how is this ever funny?
Yeah.
But this also this falls into the best of the worst of Vince Russo, because he's done way, way worse. That was way, way, way more excruciating to watch, whereas this one was still lighthearted and...
Yeah, we haven't gotten too greasy yet.
You get a mild chuckle at the end of it.
Yeah, or at least a head shake.
Yeah. Like, ho, chortle.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, all right.
Snow yells at Head in the ring while his opponents celebrate on their way to the back. And as we know, Al Snow is gone forever.
Everybody's seen. Maybe this is what radicalized him.
Or at least 3 months.
Yeah.
We'll see him later this year.
I'm sure we will.
Maybe he's going to get that, Sable welcome return.
Maybe he'll be the new secretary.
There you go.
There'll be a third show soon, and that he's gonna have to work all the time.
The head secretary, if you will.
There you go. Rawson sent us to some video highlights from Raw a few weeks ago, where we see Owen Hart attack X-Pac to crotch him on the railing to cause a count-out loss in a King of the Ring matchup. So this past week, the Kid returned the favor by nailing Owen in the back with a chair shot to cost him his King of the Ring matchup. So that leads us to our fifth match, X-Pac with Chyna versus Owen Hart. And the last time we saw X-Pac wrestle was at Fall Brawl 97, episode 271.
Wow.
In a little bit. Yeah, after that, he just became a t-shirt that everybody wore in memory.
And then got fired by FedEx.
FedEx.
Yeah, but it's pretty funny.
It was fate.
Yeah, He's been all over these shows, and I'm sure he's had TV matches that we haven't covered. But it's kind of wild that we haven't seen him have a singles match in the WWF yet.
Yeah, actually, I think the last time at Fall Brawl, it was a tag match with the Outsiders.
Yeah.
So, not positive.
I mean, it's not like he was used regularly in WCW either. He was just kind of there.
So the Kid attacks before Owen is even in the ring with a baseball slide and strikes, before taking the fight into the ring to deliver multiple kicks, only to charge into a corner with a Bronco Buster Hart would avoid, causing X-Pac to crouch himself. Owen would capitalize on the mistake with strikes, turnbuckle smashes, hard whips into corners, and a backbreaker. And Hart continues with a spinning heel kick for a 2 count, only to have his whip reversed, allowing the Kid to retaliate with kicks, turnbuckle smashes, and chops. Owen fights back to nail a fisherman's suplex for a near fall.
Love to see.
Followed by a gut-wrench slam for a 2 count, but then telegraphs a back body drop and gets kicked away, only for X-Pac to then be cradled up for a 2 count. The Kid fires up with a back body drop and a clothesline that sends Hart to the floor, with X-Pac leaping off the apron with a clothesline to the back to keep up the attack. Owen then reverses a whip to send the Kid right into the timekeeper's table, before a front suplex onto the Spanish announce table.
Ay, Dios mío.
Yeah.
The Kids rolled in while Hart heads up top for a drop kick and a jackknife pin attempt for a near fall. Owen then locks on a sleeper hold, only for X-Pac to escape and put his opponent in the hold. But Hart just shoves the Kid away to the ropes, who comes back with a sit-out facebuster, which will become known as the X Factor, on a telegraphing Owen. The two begin trading strikes when X-Pac goes for a leg lariat, only to be caught. So the Kid transitions it into an enziguri, followed by kicks and chokes in a corner. X-Pac then charges in to deliver a Bronco Buster and a body slam before heading to the top, where Hart meets him to fight atop the ropes, when the Kid falls off onto the ropes, crashing out to the floor, while Owen sells it like X-Pac did something. Chyna then makes her way to the apron, when Mark Henry would come running down to splash atop the Kid, still on the floor. Henry and Chyna then go face to face, when Vader would appear with an avalanche attack on Mark, all while Hart has applied the sharpshooter inside the ring. Henry and the Mastodon begin brawling, with the ref trying to break it up, allowing Chyna to make her way into the ring to nail a DDT to Owen, leaving both men down, but X-Pac is able to roll on top for the pin and the win.
I mean, the DDT is perfect because it's easy to pull off from the sharpshooters, and it looks more devastating because of it.
Every time I think I've seen the last of Vader, he popped back up.
I know. It always warms my heart, even though I know it never amounts to a whole lot. I just love Vader that much.
I was worried that after losing his mask, that would be the last of the last, but he's still got some juice left in him.
He's always be in our hearts.
Fat man.
Piece of shit.
Oh yeah, that was what it was.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't say fuck or ass. I was like, what did he say?
Yeah. He said I'm a fat piece of shit. It's like, don't be like that, Vader. Antonio Inoki let you go over on him your first time in Japan. That's crazy. That's more than most careers could ever dream of.
Yeah. Ric Flair never got that treatment.
No, but yeah, because of that, like the big American heel is a staple of Japanese wrestling, and unfortunately has not been much of a thing or done very well for a long time. But I'm always waiting for it.
Well, it's because I got Jay White that came in and did it so well, but he wasn't American.
I mean, Jay White was really great in New Japan. I was a huge fan of his. Unfortunately,
MJF to go down there and have his run in New Japan, and he can be the shit American heel.
I love MJF. He does not need to be in New Japan. He is a different kind of wrestler than Jay White. I love them both separately for different reasons.
Paul Bearer then walks out to the ring, taking a mic. You didn't think I'd be here tonight, did you? I have you know that I wouldn't miss this night for the world. I took 2 of the worst beatings I've ever taken at the hands of your phenom, The Undertaker. And last week, when the doctor was taking the stitches out of my head, every stitch that came out, I cursed you, dead man. And as he's talking, we see footage from Raw of Taker beating down Bearer at the doctor's office. And tonight, I still curse you to hell. But for 20 years, my son Kane sat all alone in his home, in his room, surrounded by pictures of his brother. On Saturday, he would watch WWF Superstars, and he would tell me, Dad, I want to be like him. His whole life he suffered. His whole life he was ridiculed. He couldn't play Little League. He couldn't be in the Boy Scouts. He couldn't go outside in the sunshine because the sun hurt his scars so bad. But he would say, Daddy, I want to be like him. How do you think that makes me feel? Tonight will be the happiest night of my life because when I leave this ring, I will be the father and manager of the WWF champion. And then you can laugh at the fat man all you want because I damn sure laugh all the way to the bank.
So how old are they trying to make Kane be if he's been watching Undertaker on TV since he was a kid?
Well, I guess
For 8 years.
Undertaker joins 91 is when he joins the WWF.
91, 92.
90, 91.
Yeah, I feel like it's...
Yeah, it was like Survivor Series 91, wasn't it?
Survivor Series 90 was when he joined. 91 was when he had the gravest challenge.
Yeah, because I think, Mean Mark Callis, I feel like that's, 89.
Yeah.
But, it's like, so if you reverse engineer it, he would have been, well, like, does that make him, like, 18? If he was watching, maybe, I guess the best you could hope for is 20.
But with all of his
He's 12.
maladies, is that how you say that word?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's probably socially regressed to a child even at the age of like 16. Like, say he's 24. Now we're air quoting 24 because we know who it is and we know he's not 24.
Yeah.
But like 8 years before would be 16. So I mean, I guess that could work.
Or maybe he watched him on like World Class on ESPN or something. But
No, he watched him on WWF Superstars.
But I guess you could say it's like, oh well, he has the mind of a child, like he's Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, which is obviously what they're pulling from, but still.
Daddy, I want to be just like him.
We're having fun here.
So we go to our 6th match. The New Age Outlaws of Road Dogg Jesse James, Badass Billy Gunn with Chyna versus the new Midnight Express of Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart with Jim Cornette for the WWF Tag Team Championships. The champions came out first. Foreshadowing.
I doubt it.
But the Express are also NWA Tag Champs, but those
don't mean anything.
Are on the line and no one cares.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the last territory in America.
And Fink actually got the Midnight Express's adjectives backwards.
Most people do.
So Ross had to correct it during the match.
I wrote them down backwards because he said them backwards. Because it works either way.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't, not one of like Bodacious.
No one cares.
Yeah. Bodacious Bart or Bombastic Bob, like so interchangeable adjectives. It's like they both sound good. They're both double B's.
Yep.
JR tells us this is another bonus match that they just added to the show.
Yeah, what's with the bonus matches?
While Badass says, if we're not down with that.
Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
James and Bob started off with back and forth action. So both teams tag, and Ross actually makes note that it is brother versus brother.
Very true.
We had this conversation a few weeks ago about this.
Former tag partners.
So Billy and Bart go face to face, only to trade strikes, until a rocker dropper and a clothesline take Bodacious Bart down, allowing Badass to Tommy. The Outlaws team up for a drop toe hold, running knee drop combo, followed by going for an Okada roll. But Bob, with a shot to the chin of Road Dogg, changes the momentum.
And the announcers are just talking about the cage hanging above the ring. They're not really too engaged.
No.
Midnight Express begin working over James, including a top rope elbow drop from Bombastic Bob and a Bart press slam of Bob onto Road Dogg. Bombastic Bob then continues with a drop kick, mocking Gunn's taunt, leading to Badass coming in for a running bulldog, followed by James rolling him up for a near fall. Bob comes back with a hard right hand and a chin lock to keep up the attack, before hitting a body slam and heading up top for a diving headbutt. But Road Dogg gets his boot up to the chin of Bombastic Bob, allowing James to make the crawl for the hot tag. Billy cleans house with right hands, turnbuckle smashes, and looks to finish it with a piledriver, only for Bart to attempt to break it up, when Road Dogg would make the save, taking them out to the floor, where the ref is trying to get them to their corners. Now this distraction allows Cornette to jump in the ring, smashing the NWA belts across the back of Gunn, so Bob makes the cover for the pin, and no Badass kicks out. The Midnight Express go for a double clothesline, but Gunn ducks, while Road Dogg also trips up Bart, with Badass laying out Bombastic Bob with a clothesline for a 2 count. Bob then goes for a suplex, only for Billy to float over and roll up his opponent. So Corny jumps in the ring again, but Badass sees him this time, leaving Jim trembling in fear for a while. Chyna, being late to the party, then climbs into the ring behind Cornette to hit him in the double cheeseburger, motherfucker! Only for Gunn to then turn right into a big right hand from Bob. Now a reverse whip sends Bombastic Bob to the ropes, while James has made his way back in to nail a double flapjack onto the ropes for the pin. And the win.
Back and forth, but...
I love this. It's funny that Road Dogg is doing a crotch chop with each fall of the pin.
1, 2, 3, bitch.
So we go to our 7th match. The Rock versus Ken Shamrock in the finals of the King of the Ring tournament. And Triple H joins the commentary table for this match, as he's the reigning King of the Ring.
And according to Jim Ross, he is the leader of the nation. But he forgot to correct himself.
Oh, is that what he said?
Somebody did not correct him. Yeah. As I had to rewind it just to make sure, because, yeah.
But Triple H gets the full intro, and he doesn't just walk on down. Big cheers.
So the two men stare each other down to start, being cautious to lock up, when Ken goes for a roundhouse kick that Rocky just backs away from. Before the Rock begins with strikes, only for Shamrock to catch him with a kick to the midsection as they run the ropes. And the Rock stumbles his way out of the ring to regroup, as we see Chyna has joined the Spanish announce table. While in the ring, Rocky's taking control with turnbuckle smashes and strikes, but Ken fires back with clotheslines. The Rock with a cheap shot to slow the momentum, as Hunter says he's bi, and doesn't mean lingual.
Yeah, this was a real flub.
Until he realizes what he said and backtracks it all.
Yeah, it's like, what do you... Yeah, I guess he's not used to being on commentary. He's just, shooting from the hip, and...
Yeah, usually his DX stuff is pre-recorded.
After a reversed whip, Shamrock tosses Rocky out to the floor, and every time he tries to get back in the ring, Ken steps up, so the Rock begins walking around ringside when he sees Triple H.
It's kind of bad when the biggest pop I got was Triple H, just accidentally saying the wrong thing while trying to be clever. And then JR.
All this time, Rocky's been by, and Triple H outed him years ago, and nobody paid attention.
But JR says, he tries to clear it up, where he's like, but be that as it may, we are live. And it really got me.
Rocky and Hunter start yelling at each other before Triple H spits water in his face, allowing Shamrock to take advantage, running the Rock into a guardrail, smashing his head against the announce tables. Now Rocky with a mule kick low blow to regain control, taking the fight back into the ring, where The Rock goes for a suplex, only for Ken to block and reverse for one of his own that gets a 2 count. Now another reverse whip, this time with Rocky tossing Shamrock over the ropes. But he gets his hand caught up until Rock kicks him free.
It was crazy to see how hated The Rock is at this point, where when he rolls Shamrock back into the ring, a fan just spits on The Rock as he, before he, follows him back into the ring. And I was like, God damn.
Triple H made it look so good.
Mm-hmm.
Out on the floor, Ken reverses a whip to send Rocky into a railing, only for The Rock to retaliate with a clothesline and dropping Shamrock on the steel as well. Now back in the ring, Rocky nails a swinging neckbreaker for a near fall, when Ken rallies momentarily, but The Rock fires back with a float over DDT. That gets a 2 count. Rocky goes to a chin lock to wear his opponent down, which Shamrock escapes, only for The Rock to come right back on the attack with a back elbow and a not-so-electrifying elbow drop for an air fall. And Rocky goes back to the chin lock to take Ken down to the mat, only for him to fight his way back up, delivering strikes, and goes for a clothesline. But The Rock ducks and counters into another float over DDT for a 2 count.
Gotta protect your neck, Ken.
Shamrock ducks a clothesline and hits a back suplex, leaving both men down, with the ref making it all the way to 9 before they get to their feet, where Ken seems to have found a second wind with a leaping back elbow and a leg lariat. Shamrock continues with a power slam for a near fall, fisherman suplex for a 2 count, but a rake of the eyes puts The Rock back in control to nail a power slam of his own for the pin. And no, Ken kicks out.
Chicken shit eye rake.
Rocky goes for another DDT, only for Shamrock to reverse into a Northern Lights suplex for a near fall. The two men trade strikes and clotheslines for 2 counts when Ken goes for a Hurricanrana, but The Rock just dumps him throat first onto the ropes for a near fall. Now Rocky's frustrated, yelling at the ref before turning his attention back to his opponent, only to be dropped toe hold down to the mat, followed by Shamrock applying an ankle lock for the submission and the win. So Ken Shamrock is your king of the ring.
I mean, I feel like this is the best match so far. And it's like one of those things where it's like, well, Ken should win, but in my mind I'm like, well, The Rock will probably win even though he doesn't need it, but just based on history, because we know, unfortunately, Shamrock doesn't reach the heights that they are hoping for him, at least at this point in time. But yeah, that was a whole lot of fun.
Now looking back on it, that's one of the things that Rock never got to win.
But it basically dies here.
There's a few more years.
A couple more good ones.
Yeah, but if at this point with what WWF's
in
doing,
the early 2000s, and it's
it just feels super unnecessary at this point in a weird way.
That's
not that I dislike the idea of King of the Ring, but it just kind of feels out of date for where the product has been moving.
Yeah, when you're trying to get into the reality aspect of wrestling and still falling back on a costume or a fake crown, something like that.
Well, they're not doing that. They stopped that with after Triple H. But it's
as they should. Well, you say that, but it always comes back around.
Always comes back around.
Nowadays, I like the way they do it just because it's basically for a title shot.
Yes. Now it means something.
Which I've always felt like it should have been that.
But that was
if you're not going to do the let's build up a Mick Carter to kind of pushing forward. Yeah, then it needs to be basically like a New Japan Cup.
Yeah.
It
used to be the Intercontinental title was what got you next in line for a title shot or title shot or in the.
But King of the Ring was kind of like an anointment where it's like, okay, well, this will be good for a push and we'll see how he handles it.
Yeah.
But they also gave it to Mabel that one time, so.
Yeah, but I mean,
that takes a lot away from.
They gave it to Mabel, and then Mabel got a title shot. So.
Yeah, everyone knew he wouldn't win.
So JR and King discuss our next match as the cage is being lowered.
Bum, bum, bum.
Which leads us to our 8th match. Mankind versus Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell.
I mean, yeah, we all saw the first one. It was great. The announcers put over how intense and great the match was.
Dangerous and deadly and all that other stuff.
Here we have two guys with way more history than Michaels and Undertaker ever had.
Yes.
And these guys have had a history of brutality between them.
Brutality, a history of one of them almost dying during or shortly after the match because of injury or infection or something. So who knows what's going to happen when hell breaks loose.
Foley makes his way to the ring with a chair in hand before walking around the structure to inspect the integrity, followed by throwing the steel on top and climbing up as well.
And now everybody knows what's about to happen.
Who needs a door?
The dead man makes his way to the top when the two begin to brawl, even before Taker has completely climbed to the top. Mankind uses the chair across the back of Undertaker several times, then some of the chain link even begins to tear away as they walk across
I
it.
forgot about that part. As soon as it started to tear away, it was like, oh, shit.
Ooh, yeah. You can see throughout this match, especially after this spot, the Undertaker is making sure to stand on
bars.
on the supports at the top because he's like, my big ass is not gonna. But yeah, I'm not trying to break my ankles.
The dead man then grabs Foley and just tosses him off the cage right onto the Spanish announce table.
Mm-hmm.
What a
Good God Almighty! It killed him! As God is my witness, he's broken in half!
I mean, everybody goes bananas. It's one of the most famous wrestling calls of all time.
Yeah. Superfly off the cage. What? Nobody remembers that anymore because there went Mick Foley.
Insane that they actually, from that high up, made sure that he went through the Spanish announce table.
And you watch him land, and he lands about as perfect as he could have landed to roll through it.
Yeah. I mean, there's no perfect way, but there's a close to perfect.
There could have been a whole lot worse ways of him landing, and
yeah,
I wouldn't want to picture it.
Mankind is not moving as Terry Funk makes his way out to check on his friend, followed by officials and medical personnel, all while Taker looks on from the top. Vince McMahon and Sergeant Slaughter have even come out to check on him as the cage begins to raise so they can get a stretcher to Mankind. The EMTs get him on and start rolling Foley to the back as the cage lowers back down. So Undertaker begins to climb down.
Yeah, it's pretty funny to raising the cage with the Undertaker on top. But I mean, hey, for all we know, this guy's fucking teeth are in his skull.
But you've also got Mick Foley
in his brain
on a stretcher at this time, and the audience is cheering for Taker.
Yeah, I mean, he just threw a man off the cage.
The stretchers made it halfway down the aisleway when they stop, because Mankind is back on his feet with a smile and headed back to the top of the cage.
I mean, that one gets a pop for sure. They'll get behind him at some point.
The dead man meets him with a headbutt and a right hand before chokeslamming him onto the chair, only for the chain link to break, sending Foley and the chair crashing down to the mat. Good God! Good God!
I mean,
will somebody stop the damn match? Enough is enough! The poor son of a... He's broken in half!
Yep.
I mean, the chair, it's like you had to chokeslam him onto the chair. It just falls on top of his face as he goes down.
I don't know if the chokeslam, because the chokeslam I felt surprised everyone that the chain link broke, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't planned.
No, but it sure feels like it was. Because it's like, why would that... That got... Mick Foley is a large man.
Yeah, because, I mean,
And that thing's not... It's not the blue cage.
Yeah.
They walked over that area the first time they were up there, and, just past that area is where Taker's leg went through and started pushing the chain away from the rails and everything, so they had to adjust how they were walking. But, Yeah, as far as I know, and as far as everything I've read over the years and listened to over the years, that was not a planned moment.
Yeah. So everybody rushes into the ring again to check on Mankind.
Fans are going wild, as they should.
While Taker drops down to the ring, which he actually already had a bad angle. So if you watch him, he is trying to be as gentle as possible coming down, dropping, because he's literally dropping from, 20 feet.
He's also got plenty of time to try to be as careful as possible.
Yeah.
But him coming into the ring scares everybody but Funk away. Undertaker beats down Terry and delivers another chokeslam that knocks him out of his shoes and throws Funk out of the ring.
Literally out of his shoes.
Followed by taking the fight to Foley with Old School. But Mankind hits the ropes to cause the dead man to crotch himself.
And officials lock the cage.
All while Foley is smiling away with a tooth sticking out of his nose.
And a smile on his face.
And he said in his book that he was actually trying to stick his tongue in the hole in his lip to feel how bad it was. And that's actually why he's smiling. He's not actually smiling.
Yeah, he's like doing,
And see, I forgot.
But it looks more demented because it's not like a forced smile. It's like something else.
I forgot that the match actually continued. So everything else that happened into it.
Well, so for the longest time, because obviously this match is like one of those matches that's on Best of Mankind, Best of Undertaker, Best of...
It's arguably the most famous wrestling match of all time.
Yeah.
Arguably.
I didn't realize that the throwing of him off the cage was literally a minute into the match.
Yeah, I recently rewatched it for the anniversary a few years ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, it happens immediately, and then basically the next bump is through the cage, but I always forget that they go on to have essentially a full match, which is always what blows me away, is that it's like, oh no, they have a good match after that. Crazy. We're gonna get to it now.
Mankind with a clothesline sends Taker flying off the apron into the cage before grabbing the ring steps, only for his arm to be hurt from the original fall. So Undertaker grabs the steel away and smashes Foley with it multiple times.
Into the bad arm.
Cringing.
The dead man goes back in the ring to fly through the ropes with a tope suicida, but Mankind moves in time, sending Taker straight into the cage.
See, I think I blocked out that this match continued, and because watching this one, it gave me feelings that I thought I hadn't felt, or I thought I'd only felt them the first time watching the Cody Rhodes torn pec match Hell in a Cell that he did with Seth, where it was painful to watch, and after Foley's 2 falls, that's how I'm feeling watching this match.
And at least Cody Rhodes came down, and the reveal of it was all great, but it's this just happened. We don't even know the extent of the injuries here. It's with Cody Rhodes, they basically told me, you're not going to fuck it up anymore. It's already fucked, so, if you want to do it, you can do it.
So the fact that you see him cringe and everything in pain when he goes to grab the steel steps, has to drop them because he can't pick them up, and then Taker going and directly hitting him with it. Yeah, it was just... And
they didn't take Mick Foley to the back.
Nope.
For all we know, his fucking brain is bleeding into his the rest of his skull, which is incredibly dangerous. Ask New Jack's bad eye. He can't now, rest in peace, but...
Foley slams Undertaker's head into the steel several times. He uses it as a cheese grate.
You gotta have that spot.
Followed by returning to the ring to nail a pile driver right onto the chair.
God damn.
Making the cover for a near fall. Mankind then places the chair on the dead man's head before a leg drop and making another cover for a 2 count.
And the fans don't even pop after for the leg drop on the chair because I think it's just been too much already.
Yeah, they're somewhat numb, somewhat in shock, and what the hell is going to top being thrown off the top of a cage and then falling through the cage all within a 3-minute span?
Yeah, it's bananas.
A double arm DDT by Foley, and then he goes under the ring to grab a bag of thumbtacks.
That might top it.
Spreading them across the ring floor.
I love that he does a sprinkle and then dumps the bag.
Mankind with big right hands that has Taker reeling, but he grabs Foley by the throat, only for Mankind to block, so Undertaker hits a big boot and picks up his opponent, which Foley escapes out the back and locks on the mandible claw. And the dead man's fading when he keeps his arm up on the third try, grabbing Mankind onto his back for an electric chair drop onto the thumbtacks.
Mankind, being the trooper that he is, rolls right over into more of the tacks just to get the full effect.
Yeah, I do also love Undertaker selling like he might fall back into the tacks. It's like, we know who's going to eat those.
Taker grabs him by the throat once more for a choke slam onto the tacks, followed by a tombstone for the pin and the win. Post-match, officials rush in again to help Foley, bringing the stretcher back out. But he gets up and wants to walk his way to the back with the help of Funk and Sarge, as the crowd gives him a standing ovation.
I love the perfect half-ass kick-out attempt from Mick. Like, he does it half a second too late, but it just further shows the Hart and how willing he is to put his body on the line, as if you didn't already know. It's like he still was there was still fight in at least his muscle memory, whether he's even there or not anymore.
Yeah.
And then he stands the fuck up.
That way he can prove JR's words wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't dead. They didn't kill me. He might be broken in half, but there's still fight in there.
And I'm sure it's not much of a surprise, but
yeah,
this is definitely going on the short list.
Yeah.
Especially after watching it and realizing that there was a full fucking match that I completely forgot about.
Ross and Lawler then discuss our main event before sending it to a video package, where we get highlights from the past few weeks from Raw. Seeing McMahon tell Undertaker he can be the number one contender if he beats his brother. But Kane would come out victorious due to the distraction from Mankind, which we saw a few weeks ago. Druids then bring out a casket to spook Austin, only for Foley to attack from behind, followed by the Big Red Machine coming out of the casket to beat down Stone Cold, throwing him inside and standing atop it.
It's a great shot, by the way.
Yeah.
The next week, Austin would get some revenge with chair shots to Mankind before climbing to the top of a cage to attack Kane. Vincent says that the Big Red Machine wants to challenge Stone Cold to a first blood match, followed by Kane making his promise of setting himself on fire if he loses. Austin says he's bled before, and he's not scared to bleed again, when the Big Red Machine would make blood rain from the sky on top of Stone Cold.
A la Carrie.
We had our, what were they called? The brood. Our first brooding moment.
Oh, yeah.
Pre-gangrel.
So we go to our ninth match. Kane with Paul Bearer versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in a first blood match for the WWF Championship.
I mean, and I imagine that all of us, the first thing we notice is the Kane is basically wearing a bodysuit.
Yes.
It doesn't even have the one arm exposed, I don't think, in this get-up.
Yeah.
No skin.
Very
Just a
funny.
hand.
Yep.
Did you guys notice Austin has a huge bandage on his elbow?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had actually been in the hospital the last few days to treat staph infection.
Yeah, Jim Ross points that out. I wasn't sure how true it was, but I was like, oh, as the match was going, I was like, that's obviously a real thing.
Yeah, I was wondering exactly what it was, because the only other time I've seen that was Cena, 10 years ago, whatever, kind of had a similar, where he had this massive ball of fluid in his elbow that he had to have drained, and there he had this ginormous bubble wrap thing around his arm.
Like Val Kilmer in Heat.
Yes.
It's like a thing. It's not a part of the movie. It's just like a famous weird thing that you notice if you've seen the movie a few times.
So Stone Cold runs in and attacks the Big Red Machine with a Fez press, an elbow drop, and uses the belt to the head multiple times.
And as you know, everybody's on their feet and screaming because this guy couldn't be more over.
Yeah.
Even if his name was Goldberg.
My observation at that time was Austin's using the belt. It's no DQ. They just announce it's no DQ, and then the ref grabs the belt and takes it out of the ring. Like, why are you getting rid of his weapon?
Because just because he won't disqualify him doesn't mean he doesn't want it to be a fair fight. It's ref discretion.
Austin continues by exposing a turnbuckle, only for Kane to block and try himself. But Stone Cold blocks as well, so the Big Red Machine turns to strikes and chokes. Austin rallies momentarily, only for Kane to catch Stone Cold and goes for the tombstone. But Austin wiggles free and throws the Big Red Machine out to the floor. And Kane trips up his opponent and drags him outside, where the two men brawl, with the Big Red Machine having his head slammed into the steel steps when the cage begins to lower.
Oh shit, is Ole Anderson here?
Kane counters to drop Stone Cold onto a guardrail, tosses him into the ring steps, before reversing a whip to send Austin into the lowering cage. The Big Red Machine then holds Stone Cold down so the cage would have him stuck, but it stops coming down long enough for Austin to avoid.
The ref checks for blood.
Stone Cold's thrown into the cage multiple times, and the steps again, when Austin counters to smash Kane into the corner of a door, leaving him dangling as the cage begins to rise back up.
Fun little spot.
And this is around the time where they start talking about how the ref has mentioned that he's not going to call it for just little scratches or anything like that, even though it's technically a quote-unquote first blood, not
Well, I mean,
specifying anything.
It doesn't fit their narrative. Stone Cold scratched his back, has a spot of blood on it. But
doesn't help that they just have a smash following.
Oh, he bit his lip and he's bleeding. Oh,
Yeah.
he's fine. He's fine.
Yeah, but he has Austin has a scratch on his back. And they're like, it's like, no, we need substantial amounts of blood.
Yeah.
Intentional
We need
blood.
someone to
Blade. Yeah, we're looking for a blade job.
Watch out for those thumbtacks.
Stone Cold pulls his opponent off before throwing him into several guardrails, taking the fight down the aisleway towards the entrance. Austin goes for a pile driver, only for the Big Red Machine to reverse it into a back body drop, as we see Mr. McMahon and Sable watching on from a skybox. And Kane is back on the attack with strikes and elbows to the throat when Stone Cold attempts a suplex, but the Big Red Machine reverses it into a snap suplex onto the entrance. And Austin has his head smashed into a light fixture, thrown into a guardrail, followed by Kane throwing the railing onto Stone Cold. And the fight heads back towards the ring with Austin using the exposed turnbuckle multiple times, before delivering a running straddle and tossing the Big Red Machine back out to the floor. More head slams by Stone Cold into a railing, a chair, the announce table, smashes a fan, the blowing kind, not a spectator, across the head of Kane, when the Big Red Machine throws Austin towards a guardrail, taking the ref out as well.
Ref bump.
Kane rolls Stone Cold back in, followed by heading to the top for a flying clothesline, before attempting to use the exposed turnbuckle, only for Austin to block, so the Big Red Machine goes back to strikes and heads up top. But Stone Cold sidesteps and starts stomping away. Austin with a turnbuckle smash and ramming the back of Kane's head into the exposed turnbuckle, when Mankind would come running back out with a chair in hand.
Ow.
I mean, yeah, that was not too...
I mean, limping back out, I get, but running back out, how?
Yeah, I mean, like, we talked biggest surprises, and we'll get there, but that one was... Can't comes to mind, because, like, damn, dude. Third time.
You almost died, bro. Like,
Twice, yeah. And then you had a full match, and, you know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Take a load off. Just chill. Stone Cold goes after Foley with right hands, nailing a stunner as the cage lowers back down, followed by the Big Red Machine grabbing the champ by the throat, only for Austin to counter into a stunner of Kane. Undertaker then comes out with a chair as well, while Stone Cold retrieves a chair from ringside, when both men go for a chair shot to Mankind, but he ducks, causing the two men to hit each other's chairs, with Austin being knocked down and busted open.
Yeah, his chair bounces back into his head.
Yep.
The dead man clotheslines the Big Red Machine out of the ring, knocks Foley to the floor before grabbing the ref to throw him into the ring. Taker then grabs the cans of gasoline and begins to dump one of them all over Earl Hebner, while Kane returns with chair in hand to clock Undertaker from behind.
Why Hebner? Why is he catching strays?
The fumes!
I get the ref bump, but...
The Big Red Machine then goes to use the chair on Stone Cold, only to be kicked away, followed by Austin leaping off the ropes with a clothesline. Stone Cold then goes to grab the chair, but Kane grabs hold of it as well to stop him, only for Austin to finally rip it away and smash the Big Red Machine over the head with the steel. And the ref is finally back to his feet, and he sees the blood all over Stone Cold's face.
I mean, he really does... He really got just deep enough to really put on the Crimson Mask.
And Earl Hebner calls for the bell. And new!
Stone Cold can't believe it.
Mm-mm.
The fans can't believe it.
Mm-mm.
Who could believe it?
Post-match, Vince is very happy
He can believe it.
as JR says his goodbyes, and we fade to black.
Woo!
So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of King of the Ring 1998?
The show is good, but it's not special in the ring until the last 3 matches. Like, it just kind of is happening, and then, like, I think Rock and Shamrock is good, and Undertaker and Mankind is once-in-a-career type of shit that shouldn't even never happened. And then, somehow, Kane and Undertaker, I think that their match is great, even though it's overshadowed. I think everything in it works, and the surprise finish after, like, the idea that Austin would lose this at the time had to have been, like, inconceivable. So, like, what's the only other thing that could get a bigger pop than Mankind essentially killing himself in the match before? And that's the most over guy in all professional wrestling losing the belt and losing it by being fucked. It's like the man that just won the belt didn't even technically beat him. That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt.
I mean, along those same lines, the first half of the show, it was there, but it wasn't as memorable as the last. I say that even with saying during the show that I forgot that there was an entire match involved in the Mankind Undertaker match because of all of the stuff that had happened in the beginning of it, and it ended up being a phenomenal match. But yeah, the first half of the show didn't suck, but it definitely didn't hold a candle to those last.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like the matches, like, weren't bad, but they never got out of second gear. So they just kind of were like, you know, just kind of moving things along, but they weren't like, none of them really felt pay-per-view quality until Rock and Shamrock, and then of course the last two were more than pay-per-view quality. So it was very uneven, but I will say that a pay-per-view should build, any wrestling show should build, television or otherwise, but it just kind of felt like it didn't really ramp up. It just kind of like kept it a steady hum until the third to last match, and then it went kind of through the roof.
Yeah, you had fun moments in pretty much each of them at the start. You know, the first one that jumped out at me as a pay-per-view quality match was the X-Pac and Owen match. There was just a different vibe to that one.
That one definitely did ramp it up a little bit.
I mean, it sounds like we're basically all right there the same, because, like, I was a little worried when we got about 6 matches in.
There's too many matches on the show.
And we still had half a show left. Like,
Yep.
It's a 2:45 show, and, like, literally there was basically still an hour and a half left on the show after 6 matches. So, one, yes, they added 2 bonus matches, which, why did we add these bonus matches?
In a perfect world, I would have preferred to see the King of the Ring matches be a little bit more competitive, go for a little bit longer, but I understand that those guys...
They're wrestling twice.
They're wrestling twice, and I think that they did a great job when they got to their match.
Yeah.
But In a tournament match, even if it's the same night,
Yeah.
you kind of want a little bit more substance.
But along the same lines as what you guys... None of those first matches are bad.
No.
They're just very fast because they don't have a lot of time to breathe.
Yeah.
Because they're like, we got 6 matches, we got to get them in an hour and a half.
We don't want to lose the crowd before we get to
bang,
the hot
bang,
shit.
bang, bang. Because you then get 3 classic, or at least very close to classic matches to end the show.
Yeah. Like, if Shamrock didn't kind of become like an afterthought at this point, like if he went on to have even like...
I mean, back in 98, when you see him win this King of the Ring, you're
It's
like,
awesome.
Okay, this is the next guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's
picturing that's WrestleMania or something like. I guess Royal Rumble technically gets the WrestleMania main event,
but he has the fan engagement.
Mm-hmm.
You have a hot heel. Shamrock is definitely like top of the mid card. So is as is Rock, and they're perfect foils for each other, and they put in the work. And then the last match, it's like the last 2 matches is the top 4 guys in your company right now.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show? Mankind flying off the cage. Mankind being chokeslammed through the cage.
Mankind's tooth going
Through his
himself
nose.
into his nostril.
Mankind fighting through the pain and running out for the last match, which was maybe my biggest pop.
Yeah, I think it was
I've
mine
seen
too.
the Hell in a Cell match a good amount of times in my life.
Yeah.
I had the Foley tape as a kid. I rewatched this a couple years ago for an anniversary, but I've never seen the Kane and Austin main event, and it really adds even more to the Hell in a Cell match because both those guys come back out, and it's like not to say that Undertaker it's like he had a hard match as well, but not in comparison to Foley.
No, he had the easy part of his hard match.
Yeah.
I mean, he
It was probably more mentally taxing on him than physically.
He dove headfirst into the side of a cage, but he did not have to make anywhere near the sacrifice that Foley did.
Nah.
Also, given him the props too of working that match with a broken foot. You know, he climbed that cage, jumped down from that cage, and went through all of that with a massive injury on his foot.
I mean, Headbangers and Taka was a fun grouping. They worked well together.
Yeah.
That match was way more fun than I expected it to be. It was...
I literally think it's my favorite match of the first 6.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I know you guys said X-Pac and Owen.
I like that.
It's good.
X-Pac and Owen, they just had a different vibe than the other. It's like it was giving you that. All right, we're almost to the next half.
But yeah, that was one of those things too, where it's like I don't expect much out of this, and then it was just a really fun spectacle. It's perfect curtain jerker. We always talk about that. You want to come out and give people a spectacle, but like not a super high stakes spectacle. It's like you need people that they know and people that can pull off something a little bit flashy and high energy.
I mean, I'm gonna give them props for the way they laid out all 3 of the tag matches because they were perfectly laid out in all 3. Like, I don't love everything that happened in all 3 of them, but
the psychology
of them was laid out correctly.
Yeah.
And done well.
I enjoyed the callbacks for Billy and Bart during their match, reminding everybody of the connection there because a lot of people kind of forgot about Bart, that he was in fact a Gunn.
Paul Bearer's promo.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
He's rarely bad, but he rose to the occasion of... So you don't have to do that. People want to see Austin Kane, but he just does such a good job. I mean, he did it once with The Undertaker, just building a backstory because this guy isn't going to tell you anything about himself. At least for years, The Undertaker didn't. And now he's a little more human, and the Kane has taken his place as the scary monster.
I'm going to give a tiny bouquet of flowers to JR's little, or not JR, Lawler's little dad joke in the too much Al Snow head match as far as the head and shoulders thing, because as stupid as the ending was, it also still kind of makes me chuckle a little bit, and I'm going to give it to Lawler for that one.
The bilingual joke was my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah, just Hunter just like
because I literally don't think he understood what he was saying. When he
no, he was just off the dome, and it's just like, oh, he was just like outed himself as bisexual on accident, and I really got a kick out of it. It's definitely the funniest thing that happened on the show.
I mean, were we ever really that worried that he wasn't bisexual? 'Cause he was dating Chyna.
I mean, I don't care what he does as long as no
I
one
don't
gets
either.
hurt. But it is, yeah.
He's best friends with Sean, who has been rumored to have a little something with Vince for all those years.
Oh, really? Well, Sean, yeah. When you said Sean, I thought Waltman for a second.
Well, I mean,
Michael's
he also
was
dated Chyna, so.
yeah. They were also, imbibing in meth at the time together. Mm-hmm. Wrestling.
Sure, there was a few Eiffel Towers in there.
Yeah, I'm sure there was. I think there's movies you can watch.
Double cheeseburger, motherfucker!
I think there's Stone Cold and Kane. Just like the angle of it all at the end was so classically Attitude Era, just like operatic. Fuck you.
Like what?
Yeah, people couldn't have been more.
Took the belt off Austin. What?
And it was a perfect way to take the belt off of Austin.
Yeah.
He only gains from it. My assumption is that he has an injury, but I don't know. But when is he not injured?
Terry Funk getting knocked out of his shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And I only say that because at the end of the show, as he's helping walk Foley to the back, I didn't notice when he got hit that he fell out of his shoes, but he was walking in his socks, and I'm staring at the TV laughing like, where's your shoes at, Terry? And then I had to rewind it so I could see him get knocked out of his shoes. And it's like, oh, okay.
How about most disappointing? Rock and Severn didn't have any chemistry.
No. I mean, like I said, the two most opposite styles you could possibly have. But
you've got the champion that's representing professional wrestling and the history of it and whatever for the NWA, and then you've got Rock, who is on his way to becoming the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. So he's there for the flash, and Severn's there for the smash, or I don't know what I'm trying to go out there.
We're also building up to them like trying to bring the shoot fight thing in. We've had Shamrock,
a lot of people,
we've had
there's
Blackman, and
there's lots of notes
Severn.
from that time that literally people thought Severn was going to win that match because
I figured
they'd been building Ken and Dan
Yeah.
up to face each other.
Yeah.
As they're, former UFC guys. They're in a tournament, which is what UFC used to be.
Yeah. And
so it was like everyone kind of thought that would be the way they went because one, Rock and Shamrock have already had their feud. They fought over the Intercontinental. They're not going back to that. Mm-mm. They're moving Rocky over to Triple H at this point. So it's like
crack.
Yeah, but it's one of those things too. It's like, well, Severn obviously not as much of a natural as far as a work goes as Ken is. I think Ken does a great job of threading that needle, but
yeah, Ken shows
UFC is also not the thing that it ends up becoming a decade later from here.
Ken represented the boring aspect of UFC for me back in the day. So when he came to the wrestling world, I wasn't convinced he was going to do much, but he came in there and had intensity and all that stuff. Severn, when they showed him come in, he hasn't really done a whole lot as far as showing personality.
He's not as comfortable.
A suit and tie champion is all you've really seen from him.
Shamrock can sell with his face and intensity better than some incredible wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
Like he feels real. Severn, I believe, could beat up everybody in that locker room. Yep. Probably a couple of them at a time. But he just doesn't have... He's not putting himself into it. And the same way that Ken is. And Ken just feels like he gets it. It's hard to go out there and fake a thing.
Yeah.
It's for guys that don't fake a thing.
Dan has the... I'm told what to do and go out there and do it, where Ken has the... I want to get out there and play.
yeah, he also knows that this is so much safer than what he'd done before, and he can make just as much or more money.
Mm-hmm.
How about best performer of the night?
I mean, come on. You have to give it to Mick Foley, and if you don't...
You're wrong.
Yeah, you're just wrong. It's like, this guy legitimately put his life on the line. Because we don't know, he didn't even know the extent of his injury.
No.
Like, the amount of adrenaline that it was probably rushing through his body for 2 hours, like, after that first bump, and he just keeps on coming back.
Literally lost a tooth that didn't lose a smile.
He did the real version of the Undertaker's sit up, but like did like 3 times in one night.
Yeah.
And how about most surprising?
I
mean, it's obviously Foley coming back out.
In the third
that was
match.
the biggest surprise.
For sure. But my surprise at first, like, if I didn't realize it as soon as it was like first blood, Kane didn't even have the one arm exposed. I was like, well, there's nothing to bleed. So Austin is going to have to bleed. Yeah. How are they going to play this out?
If they're stressing that it's not going to be just from some little superficial scratch or something like that, Kane, all he has showing is one hand, the skin around his eyes and his mask and his neck. So.
It's like, so I get it, but I was excited to see how they pulled it off, and I think they did it incredibly well.
My initial thought was Kane's going to pop in a blood capsule or something like that and get punched in the mouth, and you're going to see blood running from under his mask or something.
That would be so weak.
But we got what we got, and we're better for it.
Other than the Mick Foley thing, I do think Al Snow losing was probably my biggest surprise.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's kind of it's the first match we've seen of him in WWF. And so he's now already gone forever, quotation, air quotes, whatever you want to call him.
After just signing a contract.
Well, he technically hasn't had a meeting with Mr. McMahon.
Oh,
so
he's supposed to get it if he wants.
a contract.
Yeah.
But, like, it was a good comedy match. Like I said, I enjoyed it for most of what it was.
That there could have been, it was still a comedy match if Al Snow won, and the idea that, or if let's say there's a double KO spot, one guy's already down because he took the snowplow, head flies up, head lands on him, 1, 2, 3, head wins the match. So much more funny than Head and Shoulders.
Yeah.
Yep.
The guy just falls in the guy's arm.
And I like the Head and Shoulders joke. Mm-hmm. But that's a much better ending to the match.
A little harder to pull off, but people will forgive something that silly.
If Mick Foley can land on a Spanish announce table from 20 feet in the air, somebody can catch a fucking mannequin head flying through the air.
Uh-huh.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
Oh, brother.
This week, the category is the numbers game.
The numbers game.
So I'm going to give 5 points if you get the correct answer. 3 points if we go to multiple choice. Who had the most losses in the matches that we watched in 1995?
Shit.
I'll go to multiple choice if Shane does not have a guess.
I'm thinking. Yeah, let's just do multiple, because...
All right, your options are Brian Pillman, Ming, Ric Flair, Psycho Sid.
Ming.
Michael with Ming.
Motherfucker never gets to win.
That is incorrect.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Wow. All right, Shane.
So
it's all on
Psycho
you.
Sid, Ric Flair, and Brian Pillman. 1995. Be that one?
Ming was so the obvious guess.
But I'm trying to think, how many times would we actually see Ming wrestle, though?
Good point.
Sid in 95. Where were you at? Were you over there with Sean already? No, I don't remember. Maybe. I'm going to go just because it was 95, so that was, we're already in Hogan territory.
True.
Which means Flair is probably not allowed to win, so I'm going to go Flair.
That is correct.
Damn.
3 points for Shane.
What a true shame.
Bonus question.
Oh, shit.
For 2 points. Price is Right rules. How many losses did Ric Flair have in 1995 that we watched?
Okay.
Shane, what's your number?
I just went with unlucky 13.
13.
Wow.
Michael went with
5.
5. Well, since it's Price is Right rules,
Probably Michael.
Michael gets the 2 points, as it was 8.
8. And see, I was going to be wrong either way because my original number was 9.
Well, thank you, Shane, because if you didn't get it right, there would have been no bonus point to be had.
That's true.
True.
So you threw me a bone.
But now there's another one because...
Another bonus question.
Oh my gosh.
For 1 point each. Name the rest of the
top
top 5.
Jesus.
Oh, shit.
Actually, I have 8 names here, so it's.
No way.
So I'll give you a full.
Dude.
You have lots of options. Lots of
Okay.
options.
Pull up my notes thing here.
I imagine that some of them have to be.
Though if there's one on here, if you get, I'll give you the full 8 points.
95.
That's how generous I'm being with points, and how obscure this name is. That I was even shocked that that we watched enough matches of his to get to this number.
Okay.
I don't even know what to do here.
Write names down.
I know, but it's...
Shit. I'm like drawing blanks.
I know. I'm just like, I have to think about guys that were wrestling in 95. I'm just spitballing the dumbest shit.
All right. Michael, give me some names.
Ming, Michael Whipwreck, Brian Pillman, Kevin Sullivan, and Erwin Shyster.
Big Zero.
I had a feeling.
Well,
Shane?
I also have Mikey Whipwreck. I also have Erwin R. Shyster. But then I have
Wow, we both guessed Mikey and IRS. That's funny.
Arn Anderson, Bobby Eaton, Tom Zink.
Ah, I missed
I
Thompson.
wrote 8 names, so
Okay.
Dave Sullivan,
Ooh.
Sandman,
Sandman doesn't lose.
and I don't remember what his name was. I just wrote Big Sal because I can't think of the ECW guy.
911. Is that
No.
what you're thinking of?
No, he was like the Salvatore.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Salvatore. I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
him.
That's all right.
Yeah, he wore the dumb like Roman thing on his
Yeah.
head. He was the bigger guy.
Big Salboski. I don't know.
1 point
Ooh.
for Shane.
Was it Dave Sullivan?
It was Arn, I bet.
So,
I don't know.
Raven and Stevie Richards had 7 losses.
Cat.
Broad Street Bully. That's the one I would have given you the full 8 points for.
God, no way I was pulling that.
No way.
Nope.
Pitbull 1 and 2.
See, I almost put a Pitbull, but
Razor Ramon,
okay.
Taz, and Sandman
Sandman.
had 6 losses each.
See, Taz was almost on my list, but it's like I can't remember when he started to make the transition to winning. Hey, I'll take my 1.
I'd say you earned it.
Next week, WWF Monday Night Raw from June 29th, 1998.
Heads will roll.
I mean,
The very next night,
Ooh.
find out the aftermath of Austin losing the belt. Music from this week's show is Trash Talk by Jim Johnston. And Kane won our main event, so we play his theme music, Burned by Jim Johnston.
a little on the nose.
A little bit.
I mean, probably a little bit. That's why he wears the mask.
Jeez. Touche.
And if you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there, rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcast at. Do as Michael says.
5 stars or no stars. Mick Foley almost killed himself for you.
Twice.
And that was just tonight.
And if you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Oh, fucking A. We are going to Cleveland next. Have you ever been to Ohio? Give me some ideas. What'd you eat? What'd you drink? What'd you do? Where'd you go? Did you have a sweet thing? Did you have some dessert somewhere? I don't know why I said sweet thing like that.
No
'cause you're
skyline.
blind?
No skyline.
lingual.
Yes. Once upon a time, but
No skyline chili, please.
it was too nice, so
That's
I had to stick
Cincinnati.
around for the long
Oh, that's
haul.
Cincinnati. Okay.
Yes. But yeah, slide into our DMs. Hit us up on the old Twitter, because I still don't want to call it X. Yeah, give us a shout out. let us know what should I ring? What the hell fuck should I make?
And you can send any of those things to our email at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on X at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTO X. We'll talk to you next week.
Laters. Wow.